Click. Hello, everybody. We're testing out the new setup for the live shows. My name is AJ, and this is Joseph or Cognitive Echo, and this is his channel. But we are going to be going live on both of our channels at some point.
Yeah, hey guys, welcome. I hope that we can get some interesting content on this channel. I only have 2 subscribers right now, me and AJ. I think today's show we're gonna do a little questionnaires, I believe.
Yeah, I think we could go ahead and do that. We were gonna first try to test it out and see how everything worked out, but I see that we actually have a visitor that I know, Pragmatic Crystal, who is on all of the live chats all the time. A really awesome follower and supporter of the atheist community. So I guess we will do this then. So the idea that we have is to make a new show called Rage and Love, where we pretty much just rage and love things that we find online. We're going to sort of review videos and articles and information related to the atheist community and uh, all kinds of religions. Mostly Christianity, really, just because that's the one that we've both mainly been exposed to. But I think that as we grow and learn, we can probably discuss many other topics. And so this is actually uh, Joseph's first video on YouTube ever. How do you
And
feel about that?
she's making me do it live, so
Yeah, we were going to pre-record it, but we were like, you know what? Let's just dive right into it and see what happens. So I have actually been part of the atheist community of YouTube for a couple of years now, and only recently I started doing like these live videos with other channels, and it's been really fun. But listening to different shows and hearing people sharing like their deconstruction stories, I've been really lucky to meet a lot of people and hear all of their stories, and some of them I've actually met in person, so that's been really cool. uh, I think today we wanted to discuss something that we've noticed among all of the atheists that I have met, and it's that they all seem to have grown up in a very deeply indoctrinated uh, situations, right? Since childhood, pretty much, and religion was such a huge part of their lives that it actually shapes who they are. It becomes part of their identity. But you and I have had conversations, behind the camera, and I am personally discovering that some people, even though they are non-believers or don't practice any specific religion, they actually do hold many religious beliefs, and it seems that they're adopting these religious beliefs and standards because they are such a big part of all of our society. And so we're going to explore this concept today. And as I said earlier, I wanted to introduce Cognitive Echo, who is actually the person that I've shared the last 20 years with. And so I know him very well. But we've actually recently realized by communicating a lot more that there are many aspects of each other's life that we didn't know as deeply as we thought that we did. And we've been going through a time of change in both of our lives. And while this can sometimes create a separation between couples, it has actually brought us closer together. So we thought that we will share this with, this journey with people and see if it helps somebody else. So welcome. And what do you think about all this that we're going to be doing?
Well, I'm kind of excited about it. Definitely, I am a little bit nervous to actually put my story out there. I do agree that based on our discussion we had recently behind the scenes, that I definitely do not fall within the normal deconstruction method. Well, I not method, I would say category for a person that would deconstruct from Christianity or from religion. Growing up, I was around religious people. I had religious family members. Yet I was never forced to follow religion. I was never forced to go to church. Um, Never read the Bible. Um,
Yeah, I think that one thing that I realized is that we didn't, even though we always talk about so many different topics. I think that religion was one of those that we didn't really cover too much. Like we didn't really talk a whole lot about it. And as I mentioned earlier, so an aspect of religion that isn't really talked about a lot is that people seem to absorb religious ideas from their surroundings, even though they are not actively participating in any specific faith. So religion is so deeply embedded into every aspect of public life and society that it seems to be sneaking up into people's lives without them even noticing. So uh, I think that we should let our viewers get to know you a little bit. So, tell me what kind of upbringing you had as far as religion goes. Like, how big of a role did religion play in your early life? Let's start with just like childhood before you were a kid.
sure, sure, yeah. Growing up, had a happy childhood and have two brothers. Um, One brother, we're only less than a year apart, which is crazy. People used to think we were twins. And my family, not very religious. My grandmother, which lived basically on the same property with us, she was very religious, but she didn't push that agenda out to us. She never spoke about Jesus or God with us. She was just always a loving person in my life. She would invite us to church as kids when I was probably, when I think back to it, I guess I was probably 6 or 7, maybe a little bit younger. I don't know if I remember that far back, but I do remember her, saying, "Hey," she would go to church every Sunday. She was a Baptist. She attended a Baptist church, and she would invite us. Like when she would get up in the morning, she would cook us breakfast, and then she would say, "I'm going to church. Would you guys, would you boys like to go?" I never took I never accepted to go. It was just never anything that caught my attention. And like I said, she never pushed us to, force us like, no, you have to put on church clothes and come with me. As far as my mom and my dad, my mom was a religious believer because she did have a religious upbringing, but I don't believe that she was what you would say a very indoctrinated follower at that time. Um, my dad definitely was not a believer, not a follower of any type of religion, even though his mom, my grandmother, was. So in that instance, I think what I learned from, well, the view that I got on religion was probably, like you said, just I took it in from my surroundings, and I created my own image of what I thought religion was in my head. And I just always thought it was a cool thing, basically, where there was a heaven. If you were good, you could go to heaven. You'd be able to be with your family members. If you were bad, you were going to go to hell. Um, that's pretty much it. And saw Jesus as a loving person and just someone that was supposed to be a good person. And that's basically the view that I had in my mind of him. Um, Past that, my brother, well, not my younger brother, my middle brother, he he probably had the same concept as me at that time, I would assume. We would pray to Jesus at night. Well, not pray, but we would talk to Jesus. Me and my brother had this weird thing where we shared the room because we had a very small house. So me and my brother grew up sharing a room and a bed together. And I remember we would say, because we would hear my grandmother doing it, so we would say, hey, Jesus, take care of my dad, take care of my mom, take care of my grandma, and just ask him to watch over us. But it was, I don't think we would do that nightly, but I do remember doing that with my brother.
Yeah, but I really think that that's something that kids absorb so much, of what is going on around them, and they just repeat it. And you see that in many aspects of religion, where people just repeat the same thing over and over. And when you try to get them to rationalize and really actually think about it, they're just stuck on that repetitive, uh, I guess, sort of whatever they were taught, and
Correct.
it
Well,
doesn't.
like I said, we would
Yeah,
see my grandmother pray at nighttime. That was the only
yeah.
religious thing that I would see her do in front of us. But she would never force us to come
Yeah,
pray with her. But I think us seeing that did make us think, as we, this was after she passed, that I remember me and my brother would be in the room, and when we would go to bed, we would tell each other we loved each other, and then we would, you know, we wouldn't say it out loud, but I, maybe he didn't, but I know I would, in my head, I would ask Jesus to watch over my, my brother, my dad, my mom, and to keep us safe.
yeah, I know. When I used to believe, I would also do, things like that. Be like, oh, if somebody was going through a hard time, and I knew that I hadn't been the best version of myself, I guess I would be like, hey God, like do this, like take care of so and so, and I will do that, or not do certain things anymore. Kind of like trying to
True.
bargain,
Well, see, that's
with
that's
the.
kind of funny because actually I remember I was always confused, like, should I ask God to watch over my family or should I ask Jesus to watch over my family? I think I probably switched back and forth because I really, I felt that both of them were maybe the same person, but like I said, I never read about the Bible or I never attended church, so I didn't really separate them as being one or two different people. So sometimes I would ask God to watch over my family, and sometimes I would ask Jesus to watch over my family.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think a lot of people have a little bit of confusion unless they are very into religion and they actually read it and they understand, like the different uh, denominations and the different beliefs of each, yeah, of each denomination within itself. Like, I think it's Catholics that see it as God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, but Christians, I believe, they just see it, uh, God and Jesus, and they're like father and son, but they are the same person, to the same being. Like, Jesus is God, but he is God's son. It's kind of
He's
hard to explain to
he's
somebody
God's
that
he's
doesn't.
God's
Yeah,
creation basically, but
yeah,
he's supposed to be God, I
but
assume.
he is also God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's another thing. Like I said, I never read the Bible, never studied the Bible. Um, Later in my life, the only time that I actually really got involved in church or the Bible would be as I got older, and me and you were together at that time, and it was basically one of the more somber times of my life. I would say uh, one of the hardest things that a human can go through in their life is losing a parent, and that would have been when my dad passed away. And at that time when my dad passed, I knew that he wasn't even a believer, um, but my mom had always pushed and pushed and pushed him, that she wanted him to be saved before he passed, because in her mind the only way that she would be able to continue with him would be able for him to be saved, to be in heaven, so when she goes to heaven she could see him. And I'd have later found out that it does seem like she says that he did attend church a couple of times before he did pass, and she feels like he was saved and did go to heaven. I mean, that's a whole different story, I guess you would
No.
say. But for me, when my dad passed, um, I was at my lowest moment. You're vulnerable. You're looking for somebody or something to offer you comfort, and at that time. Uh, my mom pushed that I needed to let Jesus offer me that comfort and attend church. And I felt like I would let my mom down if I didn't try that method, because my mom at that point was such a strong religious person. She never forced me to try to go to church, but before my dad passed, like when she would see me, I was a pretty wild child, and I gave my mom a lot of problems and probably a lot of stress during my teens and my 20s. So she would always tell me, Joseph, well, she calls me Joey. She would say, Joey, uh, are you close with Jesus? Have you found Jesus? And my response would always just be, Mom, uh, me and Jesus have our own relationship.
We're
and
good.
she would leave it at that. She wouldn't push it any farther. But I know that she wanted me to attend church. She wanted me to give my life to Christ and so forth. But that's just not something that I felt like I needed. I was more of a free spirit, I guess you would say.
Did you feel like you were like an outcast from your family because of your big difference in beliefs?
No, I never felt outcasted. Like I said, they never pushed judgment on me over not actually attending church and
Yeah.
so forth. I did feel like my mom did probably offer a little bit of judgment towards me, but she never made it known. I know she still loved me no matter what, even if I didn't become a
Yeah.
child of God.
And as a teenager, like as a young adult, did you feel that your behavior and your choices that you made you a bad person in the eyes of religious people around you, or not even family, but society as a whole? Like, did you consider yourself to be a bad person?
I didn't consider myself to be a bad person, no. So I never felt I was a bad person because I wasn't a person of religion. I wasn't involved in religion.
Well, I
Um,
mean, more so like your actions. Like, did you feel that people judge you and saw you as a bad person because you were doing things that weren't uh, biblical, or like that weren't
yeah,
following?
I think my mom did make me feel a little bit like that maybe my life would be on a better path if I let Jesus into my heart, or if I accepted Jesus. Um, I guess most people think that you become a good person like instantly, and like and don't make mistakes when you have Jesus in your life, that he's going to guide you. But to me, I felt like I needed to find my own way. And for me, this might sound sappy, but when I found you, I was at one of my darkest times, and when we met in my 20s,
Yeah.
I'd been through a lot, and to me, me and you, when we connected, you helped me find my way back to where I needed to be. I don't understand why people always think that the only way back to finding your way to a correct path in life is through a magical God, or this person named Jesus. I think us as humans here can find compatible humans that understand the same darkness or the same issues or problems that you're going through, to where we can help each other. We don't have to ask a magical mythical person in the sky to give us direction. We're right here to help each other, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was going to say that when I first met you, we were both going through such turmoil in our lives, and such a dark time that we both walked that dark path for a little bit
Yeah, we did.
before
We
we
did.
sort of brought each other out of it. But I think that even during those times that we were having a hard time, we were both looking forward to helping each other grow and become better. Uh, and I have to say, I think it was it last night that we were talking to Curly Laughlin. He's a great person in the atheist community, and he said it best. He said that we need to be less concerned about whether we are good or bad, and focus more on being just better today than we were yesterday. And I think that's such a really powerful message to have, because a lot of people see themselves as bad, or as doing bad things, or making bad decisions. But we all do the best that we can with what we have at this moment, right? So what he said for me really really hit deep, because I was like, yeah, that's definitely the key. It's not so much that we need to make a good decision or a perfect decision or be the best today. Like, we just have to look at the choices that we've made and the progress that we've made so far, and try to do a little bit better, you know,
Yeah,
than
learn
we
from
had
that
the day before.
and
So
build from it. Yeah. Well, I think I got off a little topic, well, a little off off the path, because I was talking about how when I was at my most darkest time when my father passed, that that's when religion really came into my life, and I tried to see if it was going to be the comfort that everybody said it was going to be, and I started to attend church with my mother. We actually moved in with my mom at that time. Um, because she was just falling apart as well. I mean, losing a your other your other half is like something that I can't even imagine. So at that time, I felt that church was maybe healing me, and it did give me some comfort,
yeah,
but it still didn't feel like that's what I was about. Like I kind of feel like I was maybe faking it a little bit to make my mom feel better. Sadly, I would do anything to see my mom smile during that time, and if her knowing that I was going to church and was going to be, saved, and if I knew that that made her feel better, and would make her happy, then I felt that I was going to try to do that. And I think it, like, again, like I said, I did feel a community. It did make my heart feel a little bit better. But again, there's when I would get a hug from somebody that would tell me they felt sorry for me, or close friends, I could get that same feeling from that as well. Um, so I'm
yeah.
not sure.
I think everybody wants to feel that sense of belonging to something bigger than just ourselves. And I mean, I think that that's probably why everybody seeks to have a family, right? Like to have a husband, a wife, or kids, and to grow that close community to you. But then we also want to have a bigger, wider, uh, I guess, set of people that we can interact with, because humans are just so social. And for me, it also began sort of the same way. Like, yeah, we both started going to church after your dad passed away. And for me, it was kind of the same feeling of wanting to not disappoint your family and you, because I also saw the way that you were trying for your mom to become more religious. And in my view, it seemed like that's what you were as well. And I think that's where our sort of misunderstanding started, like where we you were kind of doing it on the surface, and I was at first I started doing it on the surface as well, but then I started to become uh, more of a part of my belief sets.
Yeah, and
And
that's my fault for not sharing that insight with you. I should have been more open with you at that time, letting you know that I wasn't really feeling it like spiritually. It was more of a thing that I was doing to keep my mom happy, and definitely I see where that could have been confusing to you, because on the surface you thought, wow, he's actually, you never seen me go to church before,
yeah,
you never seen me pray before, and I was doing all of those things when we would go to church, singing in the gospel, and and shaking everybody's hands. I even went up on
yeah,
the stage and had the priest, cleanse me of my sins, and I repented,
I remember
all
that.
of my sins. And I could see where that would look like, wow, he's actually a man of faith now.
Yeah, I think growing up without any kind of religion, or even much exposure to religion as a kid, we had very little interaction with church and church people where we lived. So it wasn't until I was like 15 that I came to the US that I had any type of uh, connections to people that were of faith. We actually did move here into a house with a family who were evangelists. So we would sometimes go to church with them and everything. And that was like my first big exposure with it. And I met you when I was 18. So it was like right after that, like just a couple of years after. And so for me, it was like a whole new experience. And it was something that I hadn't really been involved in before. So learning about all these new things, I love to learn. So learning about all these new things, and I was like, oh well, maybe I just haven't been exposed to it. Maybe I just didn't know about it. So like it must be, true or real. And I remember after after we started going to church, um, for many years I did believe in God. I did believe that there was somebody, watching over us, and sort of in a way in some kind of control of our lives. And I will apologize to him, like when I would do something that I consider to be bad, or I would make promises or pray, like I said earlier, like do this for me, and then I will do that, kind of like in exchange. And I remember uh, I used to share like this little daily messages from God on Facebook, and I still see them sometimes in the memories they pop up. And so I don't want you to feel to be afraid to answer and to share your story, and feel judged, because I feel like we are all in such different parts of our journey through whatever it is, like whether
Sure,
it's the
sure.
construction, or moving forward, or changing our views and learning new things.
Well,
So
I agree with you. Like after that, I mean, I'm even though I wasn't becoming like a full believer, I would still say attending church for, we probably attended church for at least a year, I would say. It was a small church, not a big like mega church in a small town, more or less, so but I would say that even after that, even though we stopped going to church, that I still did probably talk to Jesus in my head, when things were going bad, um, because I do remember I did have a comfort from it. So I would still sometimes go back to that, but I would realize that most of the time when I would ask him for something, it never happened. And if I did want to make something happen, I would have to do it myself. I mean, if that makes sense. I mean, and I think after realizing that, then I started to think, especially with our son. I mean, when I saw that everybody prayed for him, to not be born with, with a heart defect, and he was still born with a heart defect. I mean, that made me think, okay, if all these people were praying for him to not have the heart defect, then why was he still born with the heart defect? And I think I did start questioning some of that in my head. Um, and it kind of was an eye opener. And even after that, when he would have, his, I think when he had his second surgery, I was past asking for, for God to watch over him. It was more like talking to myself and just asking. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. I switched over to talking to my dad in my head, which I think I did explain that to you,
yeah.
where my dad, who I said had already passed, had became a living person in my head, and I would talk to him and ask him to watch over Ashton when he would go through surgery. So I think I was maybe looking for there to still be some type of supernatural power, our ability to talk to those that have passed, uh, maybe because it does feel comfort, it offers comfort, and thinking that if he is out there somewhere, that he does have the ability to watch over Ashton, and to make sure he's safe. But I would also ask for him to make sure that he had proper doctors, and the doctors were gonna be able to have all the proper tools they needed, to go through the surgery and keep him safe. It was more, I don't know how to explain it. I think I was more switching towards just believing that there was energy in the world, and thinking about that would send good energy and make good things happen. So my
Yeah.
my view kind of started changing from talking to like a mythical person, or a person I can't see, to asking for the universe to send energy to keep my life in harmony, and to keep my family, in harmony, and keep my family safe. Um, Good energy, and that's kind of what I've switched my beliefs to now, where I'm more about the universe, and I don't know if I would say karma, but I would say that there's good energy and bad energy. If you think of something enough that you want something good to happen, and you surround yourself with good things, and you're being a good person, that your life is gonna be on a track of goodness.
Yeah, I think that for me it was a similar process where I went through that as well, and I felt that, like positive versus negative energy. And now I'm more of a thinking that it's not necessarily that we can ask for it, but that we can what we can actually do to make that happen. And that we
Correct.
sort of, I guess you could say, we are that energy that will set into motion whatever comes in the future. Like your actions now affect whatever is going to come in the future, right? So it's sort of a potential energy of what you're doing right now and where the outcome is going to be. And like you said, if you focus on a lot of negative, then I've had it happen where I am down in my own head and just depressed or thinking a lot about negative stuff, and it seems like everything, all the bad things just start happening at the same time. And I think it's a lot of that we stop doing the things that will lead to positive things, and we start focusing on the things that lead to negative things. So that brings more negative. I hope
Yeah,
that makes
and
sense.
that does make sense. I kind of feel that same way as well. I mean, I think it is more about just, like I said, living a good life, making good choices, being a good human, and good things will follow that. Basically, I mean, that's kind of how I feel about life now. Like not treating people, different from you, not judging people for if they look different, um, being kind, being loving. If someone needs someone to talk to, be there for them. You never know how dark somebody's mind might be. They might be smiling on the outside, but in the inside they're fighting. So many thoughts. Uh, Talk to people. Try to just be a good person. I think that's my
Yeah.
living
So
key to
speaking
living.
of judgment, do you think that the way that society judges others has made a difference in how you actually present yourself? Like, are you able to be yourself, or do you feel like you have to conform to more conservative rules simply because they're just the majority and not necessarily because they're good or right?
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like in the current situation with society that, yeah, I have to conform. I feel like I can't be my true self to everybody.
Yeah,
um you have to have your work persona. You have to have, um you because everybody, everyone is going to judge you no matter what. Yeah, I do sales for a living, so if I go into somebody's house and I have colored hair, they're going to judge me right away and probably not want to buy whatever I'm selling to them. Or if I have, like, I don't know, a mohawk or something, like I would love to have a mohawk, but I can't do it because of work society.
yeah.
Definitely we live in a judgmental society. um,
Yeah,
that's
I
the way
think
I see
that's
it.
that's something that I learned recently too. And obviously now I have my green hair, but and my nails and stuff and tattoos. But I feel like lately I discovered that being yourself is such an important part of becoming a confident person and being happy with yourself. And I think it's really unfortunate that people can't be themselves. And it doesn't just go for things like work. It's just all over so many different aspects of social issues today. A topic that has come up for you and I has been the issues of LGBTQ people, gay rights, transgender issues. And I can admit that I used to hold a more conservative view of trans people than what I do now. I didn't understand like the biological implications until just a few years ago. And now here I am educating people on how biological sex and gender are different things. So do you think that your views of topics like that were influenced by religious views that
Oh,
were
they
in
were, they were.
society and not your own?
I would say my upbringing in general. I mean, in the society, well, my upbringing was very, very conservative. I mean, I would say that. I mean, my mom didn't like me to have long hair. Um, my grandma, she was cool with it. Um, my dad, he was very. I would say my dad was more liberal. He kind of just stayed to himself and and did his own thing. He never made any comments about any of that. My dad was very. I would say very accepting because he was just he was kind of he might not have liked it, but he wouldn't say anything about it. He would let me be myself. But in general, I would say, well, I lost my train of thought.
Again,
Yeah,
like how your views have changed, and like
yeah,
if
okay,
they're
okay.
influenced from by society, basically.
Yeah, so I mean, I would definitely. I used to think that I had no understanding of trans, anything of that sort. A boy dressing up, in in a dress. To me, I couldn't understand it. I didn't hate it. I wouldn't have told that person, that hey, you're not supposed to be doing that, because I wasn't a judgmental person. But I wouldn't. It's not something that I couldn't understand in my mind. I definitely have only recently became more opening understanding of that with you explaining all of this stuff to me. Um,
Yeah, I think that the issue of the Algerian boxer recently in the Olympics was the one where I saw you go, whoa, like you really opened up your eyes and you were like, wow, that I really, really, truly get it now. Because I have been, trying to sort of share that with you, and like all the different ways that biological sex is determined, or how it's different from gender, and how it's, gender is just like the social construct of how we look, and the biological sex is like what our body, like how it performs, like internal and external aspects of it. And so I think that the issue with the boxer really brought up the bigotry that people have and that they hold, and that is mostly focused at trans women, because hardly anybody ever talks about trans men, right? So it feels like it's something that is ingrained in society rather than like a real issue. Like it's just something very superficial that society has created.
Yeah, no, that definitely did open my eyes. Before I was starting to understand it, but I wasn't able to visualize it properly, and I think that that situation was like the perfect example of where how you were able to it was basically what you were saying, that we could be we could have the female parts, but you could still like internally like you have so many different there's so many different things that basically confirm like whether you're not just a boy or a girl. You can have both both options basically where
Yeah, like I always explain in my videos, before you're even born, there's like five different factors that will determine what your biological sex is, and this is your outer body parts, your genitals, right? And there's hormones, there's genes, there's the brain anatomy, and the chromosomes. So you can have any type of mixture. When you have five, you don't necessarily have to have all five of them. You can have two and three, or like whatever, four and one. And so that does make a big difference in how we perceive ourselves, and that's what comes out in the gender identity, basically. So like if your brain doesn't match your physical body, there's no way you're going to be able to change your brain to be like, no, this is what I have, this is what you're going to be too.
true,
So it's
very
like,
true. Yeah.
yeah, but I feel that religion has made it so hard for people to express that, because there are so many deeply ingrained beliefs into people to follow all these biblical rules that, men and women were created in the image of God, and that, it has to be just male and female because that's the only two that are mentioned in the Bible, and therefore there can be nothing else. And I think that that's the image that has been portrayed into society, into the media, into pretty much everything. And so even non-religious people like yourself can absorb that
Yeah,
and
and
make
be
it
drawn
part of,
into it.
yeah.
Yeah, part of your view. Yeah, definitely. And even though I wasn't religious, I did absorb a lot of that. Basically that a boy or a man is supposed to be manly and masculine, and and a female is supposed to be girly and wear dresses and so forth. Um, that's basically what society wants. Even though it's pretty silly now that I think about it, that I even ever kind of like accepted that view. It's like it doesn't, like, why should we care what somebody's wearing? Why should we care if someone has makeup on? Why should we even care what's in their underwear? It's like
Yeah.
that's not none of my business. Let them be themselves.
do,
Let them
do you
enjoy
feel
life.
that do you feel that having met people who are, non-binary, or who are don't conform to like all these specific rules, I'll name a specific person, Glenn. Everybody knows Infidel 64. He has his own channel, so, and he
Well,
wears like nails and makeup and hair. You think that meeting people like that who are so genuine, truly themselves, and are so awesome as just human beings, like
yeah,
that changed your view?
it definitely did. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I actually kind of look up to him and feel a little bit jealous that he can look so cool. Because
Right.
I wish, like I told you the other day, I wish that I could color my hair, but I can't. Um,
Yeah.
you know, it's just something that
Yeah,
again, that
like your work.
society frowns
Yeah.
upon. So like definitely I can't do it. Um,
Yeah, I feel like being in an environment like that makes me realize that the more we push these boundaries, the more they're gonna become the norm. And while we're not there yet, so I'm not telling you to color your hair,
no, I
but
know.
I feel like in the future, like even in future generations, people will feel much more comfortable with being able to be themselves and truly and authentically without feeling so judged.
And that's how society should be. No one should have to feel like they can't go out and be themselves. Like everyone should be able to feel that they can go out in public, go out and be with family, and be exactly who they are. You shouldn't have to hide that. Um, if somebody does not want to accept you, then you shouldn't even bother having them in your life. Because I mean, if they can't comprehend that judging somebody for who they're for them being them real selves, I mean, that's just kind of sad in my opinion. Now it really it makes me sad to think that
Yeah.
there are people that can't overlook that view. There's families, there's kids out there that don't talk to their mom or their dad anymore because their parents can't comprehend that concept and accept them for who they are. And that's just sad that you wouldn't talk to your child, because of something as simple as that.
Yeah, like so superficial. Yeah. I feel like for myself, another thing that I hadn't realized I had absorbed so much from religion was like the whole purity culture, what were, thinking that women need to cover up to prevent men from being tempted, by our bodies, or that sex shouldn't be talked about, or that men should be extremely manly. And I think that sort of the whole process of becoming part of the atheist communities and exchanging stories and listening to other people's stories made me realize how deeply that had become part of my life as well, and it was like preventing me from being more open. And I think the more we talk about all of that, not just purity culture, but like LGBTQ issues and any of this, like I said earlier, it's just gonna become a more normalized and more, yeah, like I think that people can just talk about and
Yeah,
people
it'll
can
be
just be
normal.
themselves.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Well, I would have to say that at first I was a little leery about the atheist, the atheist community, just because me as a person, I have a hard time with change, and basically having new people come into my life. But as you've helped me on this journey and brought me into this and let me feel like I'm part of the journey, I think that now I feel a lot better about it, and I see that everybody that I've been introduced to, they're just great people. Their personalities, the way they accept everybody, it's you can just feel the acceptance, no judgment at all. And I've never felt that before, like to be in front of people that I've never talked to before, and not feel like I'm going to be judged. It seems like that everybody is just so open, and I mean, to me, that's just like a great thing.
yeah, I think like the only thing I'm sad about is that we hadn't met all these people before, because I feel like when I started listening and interacting with everybody in the atheist community, like you said, at first you're like, wait, is this real? Like, can the people actually be like this? And you're thinking, well, they're probably just like that on screen, right? But then you go on the after shows and you go and meet them in person, or you have like all these smaller gatherings, or, talk to them behind the screen before the shows, and they're exactly the same as they're on the screen. And it's like, wow, like what they're saying is coming from their heart. Like they're actually, this is
Yeah,
actually things
yeah,
that they believe in. So I think it makes a really big difference, in helping us find that community, because like you say, church often offers that community. And when people start to deconstruct, I think that a lot of them are really fearful of losing that sense of community, of losing the people that they had for support, and they don't really know where to turn. So I think that for us as the atheists, as the ones that have already come to the other side, it's kind of our job to make it a safe space for people to come to and to become a part of it and realize that we're not, uh,
well,
you know,
I have to say, so I think that the term atheist has just such a bad rap. I guess I should say it that way, that that I've always thought of the word atheist as devil worshippers, that these people are
yeah.
devil worshippers. And it's like, it's far from that. I mean, if the devil
Yeah,
has a huge heart, I guess they are devil worshippers. But I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, I think anytime someone hears like, oh, you're an atheist, or oh, she's an atheist, or oh, they think they're a horrible person, like, oh, they must not have good morals, they must be okay with rape, or they must be okay with any horrible thing that you can think of. And it's not that at all. I mean, this organization is so great because they're out there changing the way that people view the word atheist. Since I've been in touch with this community and involved in this community, I see that that's just like so crazy that other people that don't know anything about atheism, when they hear that word, that they can't that they think of that. And when I hear it, I think of an inviting community, a loving community, a non-judging community. And that's something that the church could never offer, because the religious is just like any type of religion organization, they're just so judgmental, even though they say that they're not the ones that are supposed to judge, that it's supposed to be up to
well, but
God.
that is the ultimate goal, to be judged by Jesus and God. So ultimately, you are pretty much running for judgment.
But the followers of religion are the ones
Yeah,
who do all the judging. Like they'll judge you for being gay, or they'll judge you for having colored hair, or they'll judge you for wearing a short skirt, or they'll judge you for having sex before marriage. It's like and then they'll disown you because of that. But
Yeah.
why are they the ones doing the judging when their religion tells them that they're supposed to allow that judgment to be done by God?
Yeah. I'm going to read a message that I'm seeing on the chat, and it says, "My little sister was in the closet for over 50 years because of something her mother said to her when she was 14 years old. Some people never realize the damage their religious beliefs cause." I think that is so accurate, and it's what we were just discussing. It's not even the messaging from the people that we love. It's like the messaging from all of society. And even if Ronald's little sister had been able to come out, let's say that their family supported them, they would be up against the entirety of society. Like not the entirety, right? But like billions of people who are
Quite a few of
Christians.
them. Yeah,
That's
quite a
quite a
few of
few
them.
people.
And thanks for watching, Ron.
And here we
Or thank you
have
for sharing that with us. It's definitely hard.
Fern, yeah, Fern Lebon, how are you, neighbors? And Fern is actually one of my very first followers for my channel, who's been a really supportive part and always commenting on my stuff, making sure that it comes up in the algorithm. And
Yeah, I've
then
seen that
send
name out
another
there.
message. Yeah, the very nature of the Christian theology hinges upon judgments. Yeah, exactly, Fern. That is so accurate because yeah, as I said, it's like you're literally running straight up towards judgment, and I think people feel entitled to make judgments just because they're thinking, well, you're gonna go and be judged, so I might as well judge you anyways. And when you're given all these different rules in the book to follow, then you feel like, well, I know better, and I know this is the rule, and I know this is what you're supposed to do, and you're not doing it. So it's judgment
So
ultimately.
they try to say that they're telling you these things because they want you to be saved, basically, right? I mean, normally when, from what I understand, like I had an experience recently. Well, I got judged by somebody. I guess I could tell this story. So,
Yeah.
um, with my job, I go out and the product I sell, sometimes it has to be serviced. And I had a customer, an elderly lady, very nice, and I told her I would come and pick up the product from her, and I would get it repaired, and then I would bring it to her when it was fixed, and I wouldn't charge her for it. The day that I met with her to pick it up, she was so thankful of it. She told me that I seemed like I was such a nice person, and she was grateful for me. After I picked up the product, she gave me a pamphlet, and it was a pamphlet basically for a church, and it had a little story about how God loves you and so forth. Um, I didn't read it. I put it in, in my seat, and I left. A couple days later, after I had the product fixed, I met back up with her, and I was giving her the product, and then she asked me if I enjoyed the literature that she gave to me. And I was kind of in a rough spot because I didn't want to make her feel bad. So I told her, yes, I read it, and I said it was very nice. Basically, I left it at that. And then so
You
after
broke
I
the
tell her,
commandment.
I know, after I tell her that, then she asked me, so you so you are a believer in our Lord Jesus Christ, our Savior? And I told her, well, no. I said, actually, me and Jesus, I said, we have our on and offs. That's basically how I told her. And I said, I'm really not a full believer. So then right away she went into like, her whole demeanor changed. Before, the first time we met, I was like the most loving person, the nicest person. I was doing this, I was taking care of this product and fixing it for her at no charge. I picked it up. I was saving her from having to drive to our shop. But as soon as she found out that I was not a believer, her demeanor changed. And right away, she felt like she needed to save me. And she went into like this prayer. And she was praying for me to be, to find Jesus, and asking Jesus to come into my heart. and asking Jesus to watch over my business. And it just felt so weird. I could tell that she was judging me because she felt that just because I said I was a non-believer, that I was a horrible person, I had horrible values, and I needed to be saved. And it was just very, very awkward. I gave her a hug and told her have a good day, and we left it at that. But it just made me think how people see you when they think that you have Jesus in you, and then how they see you when they don't. It's like they're very, very judgmental.
Yeah, it feels like she, even though you didn't do anything to change her mind, like you didn't rip her off, you didn't
Nope,
like bring anything, like cuss at her or
nothing.
do anything, that would make you a bad person. And suddenly she was looking at you with the whole different, glasses that were the religion glasses that she put on, and suddenly you became this awful, completely different human than what you were 5 seconds before.
Yeah. So like I was saying though, they are judging, but they feel they need to judge you in order to save you. So like they don't, I guess in their mind, they don't see it as if they're being a bad person for judging you. They're doing a good thing because they're trying to bring you to God, to Jesus, so that you'll be saved. Every time I've ever been told that I need Jesus in my heart, or if someone tells me that, it's because they say that they want me to be able to be saved too, so that I can enjoy the eternal life of heaven.
Yeah, it feels that that's the ultimate goal. People to either save you, so they put their focus on trying to, I don't know, improve or recruit people into going to heaven, or having eternal life. And it's such a big sudden focus on doing anything they can in order to be able to obtain that little space, that little real estate in heaven, I guess you could say.
But I guess they think they're getting bonus points for like each person that they can save, right? They have like a little, is it kind of like the good life where they're racking up points
Yeah.
every time they save somebody?
Let me see what the messages say. On an unrelated note, I pick up any religion material left out, um, to coerce the public, and find any contact emails that I can. Or I guess to like spam them,
We
kind of
this
like the way that you would deal with the
with the spam
spammers, the
callers, yeah.
scammers.
Hey, that's a good thing. You're doing a great service.
All right, you read this one. Bye.
Also, AJ, that hair's killing it. I'm so jealous. But anyway, Ronald is 100% right. I struggled to allow myself to accept my lack of belief because I was scared to become that terrible thing, an atheist. It's true, Fern Love. Her hair is killing it, but yes, it is. It's very hard to be able to accept that yourself. I think because we feel so scared to be judged by everybody.
Yeah, but I actually felt that way too. I watched the atheist community of Austin shows for like a year at first, and then I slowly, started to become more interactive with the people, like in the chat, and like I said, in the after shows and all of that. But it wasn't until this year, until I started the Waste to Human channel, that I came to actually say it out loud that I was an atheist. And it felt kind of weird because, as you know, some of your family members haven't been the biggest fans of my outspokenness about anti-theism. So it was a complicated thing to accept about myself, even, and to put it into words, into like actual words out loud to other people, because of the fear of being judged. And just like how you mentioned earlier about the story with the client that you had, and I think that there is such a big misconception among believers, among religious people, that unless you have God to give you morals, then you can't possibly have any morals. And I've heard that before, like people act genuinely shocked to see that you're an atheist and be like, well, how do you know what's good and how do you know what's bad?
Exactly. But that's one of the funny things. I mean, you can be a good person morally without having religion in your life. I think you can actually be more of a morally good person because you don't go around judging everybody for every little thing.
I could swear I've seen the name Cognitive Echo in comments on YouTube. And yes, you have seen it lately because he just started his own channel like maybe like a couple of days ago, and has been very active on the live feeds and watching Truth Wanted and the Atheist Experience and some other shows with me. Zodanza too. Yeah, big
Yeah,
fans
I
of
hope that
him.
you'll go and follow and like my channel. I'm
Yeah.
not sure that exactly how much content I'll be posting. Probably not as much as AJ on her channel, but I do plan to do a lot of live shows with her, and we have a really good show lined up that we're going to be doing soon about dreams and
Yeah.
religion.
We're not sure if it's going to be later today or another day. We're going to figure that out depending on how this one ends. Let's see our next message. Some of the church, I'm sorry, exceptionally average says, laughing out loud. In some of the churches I was forced to attend while growing up, there were people who bragged to each other how many people they lead to Christ.
Yeah, yeah. So they're racking up those points, every person that they bring to the gates, I guess, right?
But it's always been interesting to me because there's people who don't, you feel like they don't quite like you very much. I mean, maybe it's just me, right? But I've met some people that I felt didn't like me a whole lot, and then when they find out that I'm an atheist, they're like, "Well, God still loves you, and I'm still praying for you." And I'm wondering, are they praying for me to go to heaven? Like, do they realize what that implies? That they're gonna see me in heaven, like for eternity? Are they gonna? They can barely stand me here in life in the earth, and they want me to be there in heaven with them for all of eternity. I don't know.
They want to be on good terms with you. So
I suppose. Uh, let's see. This one's for you. You want to read
Fern
it?
Love, Joseph, when I'm back at my laptop, I'm definitely going to look for your channel and subscribe. Hey, I really appreciate that. I really do.
Awesome.
I think you'll get me up to 3 subscribers. It's going to be awesome.
I felt the same way when I was first starting out. I kept watching the little subscriber, line under my name. Oh yeah, I have 5 subscribers. No, I have 174 exactly.
Hey, you're killing it. That's really good, really good. Hopefully these live shows start bringing more people for you though.
Yeah, it seems that everybody's starting to do live shows, and at first I was really scared because obviously it's like putting yourself on the spot, and you see people who are so coherent and so well spoken, and you're like, whoa, I'm probably gonna fuck it up in some way. And but I
Well,
think everybody's been so welcoming and so open and so nice and understanding of our awkwardness.
if anybody's gonna be awkward and mess it up, it's probably gonna be me. So don't worry.
So I'm not the newbie anymore. Yay. uh, they never brought the converts to the service, says
Okay.
exceptionally average. And yeah, that's true, right? Because it seems that they brag about how many people they converted, but they don't actually show up to church. So where did they go?
Maybe they were lying about it. You never know.
Fern Lovebond says, I feel lucky when I catch a live of people I enjoy. Yeah, me too. I feel the same way. Sometimes I'll be working on stuff like on my videos and editing or something, and then suddenly I refresh the YouTube to look up something, and I'm like, oh wait, there's somebody live, and I get completely sidetracked, and yeah, just go and watch the show instead.
So did you go through all the questions that you had lined up like to ask me so far, or
I did, yeah. I think
okay,
the only one I had left was, it's more of a statement
okay,
and a question, because I feel like there's this concept in that we talk about a lot in the atheist talk shows, and it's called the God of the gaps, and it means that when people don't have an answer for something, they usually make the assumption that it comes from a higher power, and they use that a lot in things that they can't answer about science, like if we don't know something about space, or if we don't know something about evolution, or we don't know something about biology, then it must be God. And that's why they call it the God of the gaps, because you fill those gaps with, well, it must be God. You think that did you ever feel that way, and do you like recognize that that's something that isn't really helpful to
no,
use?
I've never felt that way. I mean, I've always had the question of who is God's father, who created God. I would always ask that question, and I've never had anybody be able to answer that for me. They would always just
Yeah,
come back with saying God is the only one, the one and only, the highest being, the highest power. But I always said, how can there has if God is there, someone had to create God,
yeah.
So
They call it the causality, which is basically what caused everything to exist. But with that concept, we really do need to think about what caused the cost, right? Because if but
true.
they seem to always point it back to God and never really get past what created God. So yeah, I've also never gotten that
So
answer.
so you said the other gods of gaps. That's what you said. It was that three. What that's
Yeah,
called.
they kind of call it the god of the gaps, just because it's the god that fills the gaps in our
So give me
understanding.
an instance, like where would that be used, so I can
Well,
think if
like
it's something I've ever thought.
kind of like atheists point that out to people when they use uh, that fallacy. It's called the fallacy because it's like something that's not, that is not true, right? So let's say that, well, the missing link in evolution, you've heard of that, like where they're saying that there is a missing link that connects all the fossils that we know about to all the way through, the present humans. And so somebody who believes in God will be, well, that's because God created humans, and there is nothing there, like there isn't a missing link. It was
So
God.
using that to debunk that, basically.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
when
Okay.
when we talk to somebody that's filling in the blanks with God, then we say, hey, you're using the God of the gaps fallacy. It doesn't work that way. Just because you don't know something doesn't mean that it isn't ever going to be known, right? It's like looking at a whole puzzle, and you're missing two pieces of the puzzle, and you're like, well, you put God into those missing pieces. That's why they call it the God of the gaps.
Got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then no, I've never used that myself.
Okay, that's good. 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 I see a. Okay, there's a correction. God wasn't created. The uncreated creator. That's, yeah, aka special bleeding. I just reduced the entities needed to explain the observation. The universe is the uncreated. Yeah, I think people really do try to make so many excuses. Like they flip and turn everything that they've learned from their religion, like there's whatever specific religion they have, right? It could be even Muslims or Christians or Jewish, and they bend all these rules, and that's why they call it special pleading, because it's just like you're using special rules that you will never use for
In
any
any other
other
circumstance,
aspect
right?
of your life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. And
Ronald.
Ronald Ford says abiogenesis is one of their favorites. You can't prove how life began, so they claim that a god did it.
So
Yeah,
that's a gap of God theory,
the god of
or
the gaps. Yeah.
yeah, God of the
So
gaps. Okay,
god of the gaps. Yeah, like the god that fills the gaps,
gaps.
basically. Yeah. So abiogenesis is a really interesting uh, topic that a lot of religious people like to bring up because it's a hypothesis that is currently being investigated. It does have a lot of evidence for it, right? It's not something that's like not understood. It's quite well understood, and it means A means no, bio, life, genesis, start. So basically, that life started from nothing, but it isn't necessarily nothing. Like we have been able to show in labs that you can start life from different building blocks. Even in space, there are amino acids, and which are the building blocks of life. So we know that life is pretty much everywhere. So it could have definitely started from a single cell, or um, yeah, there's probably a lot of better biologists that can explain it a lot better than
Better,
me.
yeah, yeah.
Like Forrest Valkai, I think he has a video about it. But yeah, it's one of those things that people who are religious claim that has no basis in reality, and that there's no science behind it, but there is. It's another message
From Ronald, yeah.
from Fern. She says she's responding to Ronald. Yeah, we have step 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and 9. But because we don't have all 10, we must be wrong. And the gap, feeling God, must be the answer because me has a book, the Bible. Yeah.
The Bible. There we
So
go.
yeah,
All
that's
right.
basically like a really good explanation of the God of the gaps. Like because if you have instructions to how to build your IKEA furniture, and it has step what is it, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and 9, but then you're missing a couple. They're saying, well, it must be God that filled in those gaps
The rest of it, yeah.
and finished your product how it is today. Right? That in
Well,
this case, it will be the creation of humans.
I don't know how I feel about that. That's pretty. I don't know. I've never heard that term before, so I'm learning that today. I did see it typed in a chat last night when we were watching Truth Wanted a couple of times when one of the callers was going on about
Oh, the DNA
yeah, yeah,
changes. Yeah.
correct, and people were using that term. I forgot to ask you about it.
Yeah, it's a really interesting. Yeah, I think it takes a while to learn all the terminology, and I'm still learning a lot. Like for example, I'm excited about tomorrow's XP show because J Mac is gonna be on it, and he's like the big philosopher. He actually watched The Good Place, and he said it was a really good show because it talks a lot about philosophy, and that's something that I've always been interested in because there's just so many different ways to examine even the same situation, like when we were talking earlier about morality, right? Like from the religious perspective, people see morality as an objective, uh, one way street. Like you only have these rules, like murder is wrong, for example, and there is no other way about it. But when you look at it from a philosophical standpoint, like when we were watching In the Good Place and they were talking about the trolley problem, like do you pull the lever and kill one person, or do you let it go and kill five people? And the situations can be so many that there is no one correct answer to it, and you can't possibly say killing is wrong because you kind of have that ability to make an informed decision based on what you can determine will be the most ethical, right? The
Yeah,
one with the
yeah.
least harm, or the best possible outcome with what you have.
Fern Love Bond.
What did she say? Oops.
I double clicked with you.
Oh, sorry. She says, "Oh, I really enjoyed The Good Place." Yes, The Good Place. So Joseph hasn't finished watching it yet. I'm watching it maybe for like the third time. I loved it so much. Like, to me, the messaging is so deep, and it has so many really good lessons throughout the whole series. Like, they put these really meaningful things throughout every part, every episode has one thing that leaves you thinking. And another one that I really enjoyed that has a similar sort of theme was what was it called? Chaos.
Chaos. Yeah, chaos.
Chaos. Yeah, that one's really good. If anybody would like to see it, I'm gonna type it in the comments.
But they only
Oh,
have it's only got one season so far, and they just started the second, I believe.
yeah, that one. Oh, I see we have somebody else over here. You wanna read that one?
Oh, we got Catching Monsters in the chat. Do y'all think that that'll ever happen? Learning step 10? If so, how many years? Speaking from a religious background, learning step 10 would achieve world peace or no? Also, live stream is sick. Hey, appreciate you tuning in, Catching Monsters. Um, I'm gonna probably have to let AJ answer that one.
Well, I think that what where we were going with this one is that the message that we want to give from it is that just because you don't know every single step doesn't mean that it should be attributed to an unknown entity, right? And I'm not talking specifically about any whatever god you believe in, right? It can be any god, it can be any deity, or anything that you believe was the creator of the world. So just because we haven't found the link from, say, this species to this species doesn't mean that it isn't out there, and that we should say, well, then the reason must be that god created us the way that we are today. um, but as for your next question, I think what you mean here is that if we are ever going to find god, is that I think that might be what your question is. And I think that what a lot of people don't understand about the word atheist is that it doesn't mean that we are saying there is no God. What we're saying is there is not enough evidence for me personally to believe in any God, not just the one that the
That he
person
may
I'm
follow.
talking to
Yeah.
believes in, right? So um, I always mention this. There are 4,000 religions and 18,000 God claims. So basically, 18,000 different gods. So you, you believe in one God, which means that you don't believe in 17,999 gods, right? I just don't believe in one more than you do. And I mean, I think that's the best way I can explain it. And so I don't think that the God claim is falsifiable, which means that there really isn't a way that we could get either confirmation or uh, that there is or that there isn't. So I guess that will always leave me as an atheist because I will never have enough evidence. But I think that there is a possibility that there could be uh, some kind of evidence out there. And I think that if God were as powerful as he is claimed to be, then he will know what my mind, what my brain needs exactly in order to believe, and he will show me that with proof. Like one example I also always use is that Joseph, I know that he is a real person, right? And I know that he loves me, and I know that I love him, and the fact that I know that he is real doesn't force me to love him. It is my choice to continue to be with him. So if I were presented with enough evidence that a God was real, I would believe that he is real. Will I worship him? Probably not, but I will believe. So I don't think that belief equals worship. So I think that him making himself known to me wouldn't force me to worship him. I see there's some other questions.
Well, Fernlove did a response back to what Damien's,
Okay.
well, to what
Yeah,
Catch a
you can
Monster
read it.
said. So in response to Catch a Monsters, Fern Lovebond said, will we ever learn the totality of life's origins? I don't know, but I doubt it would end any conflict. Perhaps across hundreds of years, it may become accepted, like the heliocentric model.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good point, because I think that, as I said, for myself, just knowing doesn't mean that I will worship that God. So just the same way that learning about the origins of life would that lead people to stop believing in God? Probably not. And would more people believing in a God stop people from entering into conflict? Probably not either, because I think they will still um, they could still choose to not worship, and they could still choose to fight back. So there could still be conflict, even if everybody knew that the God was real, and that the one specific God was real, right?
But he would have to prove that he is the one and only God, because all these other people that follow these other gods would still think that their God could eventually show themselves. Wouldn't you think? So religion keeps war and division, especially in world conflict. I mean, it's war has always been a part of religion.
Oh yeah, and I think it will continue to be, because, as I say, there's 4,000 religions, and so many God claims that it's pretty. I would say it will be really hard to get everybody to be in the same page, and it will require the one God claim to become so extremely clear for everybody to believe it. But again, it doesn't mean that everybody will follow and that everybody will worship that God,
True,
because there's
true.
yeah. All right, more comments. See, exceptionally average says, if humans manage to create life, the religious community will still give credit to their God, in my opinion. Yeah, yeah, that's true, because I mean, we have ample evidence for evolution, and more than enough for it to be clear that it is the most acceptable theory, right? And there's still people, billions of people that believe in Christianity, that still believe in the story of Adam and Eve. I think it's something like 40% of Americans that take the story to be literal, and so that they believe that humans were created in the exact way that we are today, and they don't believe in Neanderthals or Australopithecus or any of the other past humans that are now extinct. There's some messages. Michael Beverly says, "Hi AJ, is this your first live stream? I mean, on your channel, not your first ever. Nice to see you streaming." Yes, this is actually your first live stream, and we're hoping to continue to do more. This is gonna be like our main show called Rage and Love, just because I love Green Day, and it's a Green Day lyric, obviously, as you can see on my shirt, probably right here. So yeah, so Joseph has decided to help me grow my channel, and we're probably going to be doing like these duos and review and stuff online, but then we also plan on having other guests, hopefully, who will want to discuss many topics. I have a couple in mind. I would love to have Kelly Laughlin on here, and Objectively Dan, maybe Secular Rarity, anyone that might be interested in all these kind of discussions. So today's was mostly like we were just testing this out, and we decided to come out and be like, let's just talk about the how different deconstruction can be. We often see like more like these deconstructions from people who were originally very deeply indoctrinated, and or like myself, who got into religion later in life and not necessarily so from early on, right? But then you don't really see the ones that are sort of in the middle, who were never deeply religious before, but were also not really atheists, but that absorbed so much uh, of the religion aspect from society, because it seems to seep into social media,
It
and
seeps into
just
everything,
the
everything.
news, like celebrities. Or I don't know if you've seen Russell Brand. He's basically becoming the next Jesus, I would say. Do you know him? Have you heard of him? He's like
Oh yeah, Russell Brand. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
familiar with Russell Brand. Yeah.
So he's now basically using his platform to preach. And he just got baptized like 4 months ago. And so now all of a sudden he's baptizing people. And there was this photo of him uh, where he was just okay, there was a man in the middle. I wish I could find it quickly, but I probably can't. So there was this guy in the middle, and there were these other two guys next to him, and they were baptizing the guy in the middle. But the most hilarious part was the guy in the middle, the one that was gonna be baptized. It's on his page if you want to pull it up. Yeah, Russell Brand on Facebook. And the guy in the middle was dressed up in like I don't know. It looks like a full scuba diving gear, like a long sleeve rash guard, the whole thing. And then the guys next to him are in their underwear, like almost naked. It was completely. It made no sense, but it made me
Well,
laugh so
Russell Brand's always been pretty just out there as well. He's a pretty open person. Well, he used to be, so I don't know how he's changing his views then.
hard. Yeah. Catching Monster says, "Can you interview Donald Trump? Get on him."
Yeah, give him our information, have him reach out to us, and we'll make sure we have an interview.
Yeah, there is this guy, Jimmy Snow, and he does this hilarious like what is it called when you impersonations of Donald Trump. And I'll try to show it on the next one. Okay, I got the photo of the other guy. I'm gonna put it up. But anyways, so I'm gonna show it on the next video that we do. It's just like perfect the way that he uh, okay, trying to put my okay, yeah, I
This
think
is
I
this
got
is all new to both of us, so some of the control features are a little bit different.
yeah, we're trying to figure out how all this works. I don't know if you guys can see it very clearly, but maybe we can zoom in. Okay, there we go.
He's in a swim. Yeah, he's like in a surf like swimsuit for sure.
Yeah, so the guy is like in this whole swimsuit, all dressed up, ready to go in the water. And then the other guys are just like, yeah, I'll just take everything off, and like in his tiny whities, and
Is that a cat down there at the bottom?
it's a dog.
Oh, okay. They look like cat ears.
I think it's
Ah, okay,
actually
okay.
Russell Brand's dog. Yeah, because I've seen him on his videos where he shows his dog. Yeah, it's just it's definitely some really out there stuff. Oh, I'm sorry for could you see it? Would you want me to put it up again?
Yeah, you can put it up again
Because Fern said that they
for Fern.
couldn't. Okay, I'll leave it there for a second. Okay, yeah. So Anyway, so the next video that we're gonna make, I'm thinking maybe we will end this one pretty soon. Showing my history. Oh yeah, like when I search, yeah, true.
Where did
But I'm
I
not
didn't see it
sure
on
what.
there. Did it pop up? I didn't see that.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure it probably will show
Uh,
something.
it's all right.
Oh.
I don't think she's hiding too much.
Yeah, I know. If anything, I was actually looking for videos of um, that little hippo in Thailand. That's really cute and that has gone viral. So if there's anything in my history, it's gonna be that hippo videos. Yeah.
So
So what I was gonna say was that the next show that we're gonna do, hopefully we're gonna do it maybe in a few hours, if we can get ourselves to eat some dinner and we
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 actually have
set over
a
here.
pretty good show that we've put together for everybody, and I'm kind of excited to discuss it. Can we give them
Yeah,
a
you
hint?
wanna give it a little preview?
Yeah. So the next show that we're going to be doing, it's going to be in regards to dreams and religion. How some people believe that dreams are actually, well, all dreams actually come directly from God, and then some people believe that it's only some dreams and you have to interpret them, which ones are from God and which ones are not from God. Some people believe that some dreams actually come from Satan, from the devil, and then others believe that dreams are just dreams from your daily interactions from that day, things that you saw, things that you may have seen out of your, yeah, subconsciously saw, like out of your, side eye, things that you, sounds that you took in, or conversations you took in without even really knowing it. So it should be a pretty good discussion. We found some pretty good videos that we're going to review in regards to that topic.
Yeah, we're gonna try to keep some of it serious and some of it a little bit more lighthearted. Like we don't mean to offend anyone. We know that some of the people that will be watching our channel are people who believe in God, and so we're always careful to separate people from their beliefs. I truly believe that people can be amazing people, kind, moral, worthy and just good person overall, and that they may hold beliefs that don't line up with what we know as reality. I myself have held those beliefs before, so I can't be one to judge someone for currently holding those beliefs, right? And I'm not saying that there is a right or that there is a wrong, but we we have methods of determining, like I said, what is part of reality, right? Like if I say that something is square, there is a reason for us to believe that that item is square, and whether you personally believe that or not doesn't really matter, because we have like sort of physics and math and science to say that there is enough evidence to show that what we've labeled as square is a square, and that for the good of our mind and our society, that we should probably take that as true, right? So when we hold beliefs, even if I say that that table is round, it doesn't make me a bad person. It just means that maybe I am misunderstanding the science, right? So when we're talking about religious stuff, I hope that people realize that we're not trying to make it a personal attack and say you're a bad person or you're crazy or you're this or you're that. It's just,
It's definitely not, because
yeah,
I know several people that I love, with all my heart, and they're great people to me, my family, my child, um, very acceptable. They accept me for who I am. They accept my family for who we are. It goes both ways. We accept them for who they are as well. So I think I more have an issue with people that are religious and they try to push their their views and their vows, their views and their morals on you, basically, you know, how we live our life. um if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I
because
might have just
I
kind of
think
like,
that no, a lot of people use those values and those beliefs to make decisions. Like we see here in Texas, we have a lot of very uh, very fundamentalist Christians that are pushing for, let's say, abortion to be considered murder. And so we have to, even people who are believers in other Christian denominations needs to be able to push back on those more extreme beliefs and say, hey, we are both, we're both on the same side. Like, we both believe in the same God, but what you're doing is too much. And I think that that comes with the territory of being Christian or being non-religious, that pushing back on the more extreme views and not necessarily on saying that any specific person is bad for believing this or that.
and yes, Catch a Monsters, that was meant for you. Love you, bro. Hey, and if any of you guys watching the stream right now, if you're into fishing, this guy has a really cool YouTube channel, Catching Monsters, and he catches
Yeah,
some monster fish. Check him out. He's very, very good at fishing, and he has a love for fishing. It's like he could fish every day if he could. I think he's fishing right now in Colorado.
probably. Yeah, maybe taking his break from
Yeah.
fishing.
He said he's eating Indian food earlier in the chat.
Oh, that's awesome. I love Indian food. We've been trying to get Joseph to try Indian food, but
I did
I
eat
think he
Indian food
tried
with
it
you.
one
It
time
was
and
it was
it
good.
was good, right? Yeah, yeah.
Well, I guess we should probably end this live for today, and we're hoping possibly if we don't get the other live on later this evening, then it'll
Maybe
probably
like
be,
tomorrow early before
yeah,
all the other
maybe early
atheist shows
Sunday,
come on.
because I know everybody's gonna be watching other shows on Sunday.
Yeah, so we'll try to get it maybe later today, maybe like 7 or 8, which is in like 2 or 3 hours. Gives us some time to get some dinner and get our animals taken care of.
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody tuning in through my first time being on a live show. And I appreciate everybody who's been following AJ and showing her all that love. Um, she's definitely been a person to help me on my journey through all of this, and finding out um, how to be a more open person and not being afraid of judgment in today's society. And I look forward to many more shows, many more chats with everybody, and having some decent conversation that really challenges on both sides. Um, Always open to learning. I'm always growing. I think we all are, and I think it's a good thing to never stop learning. So I guess until next time, what
We'll
do you
see you
think?
guys in a little bit.
Take
All right.
care.
Take care. Bye.